Hello, I'm Laura. It's Friday, February 27th, 2026, and these are today's Heartlines. Our theme for Heartlines this week is Let Love Be Genuine. And today I'm asking that we let peace be genuine in our hearts. Peace be with you. I really like that greeting. I learned it as a child growing up and visiting different churches with my friends, and learned later that it actually exists in many cultures and languages. Because a long time ago, human beings were having conflict with one another. And so when they would approach each other, they would share this greeting to show that my intention toward you is one of peace. And they would often offer an open hand to show I have no weapon in my hand, and therefore there is no threat. And that became our handshake for today. So, peace be with you. I'm going to ask you to hold this thought in your heart as I read through a list of different countries who are in conflict with one another, even as I am speaking to you today. Now, in the State of the Union this week in the United States, the president said that he was responsible for ending 8 wars. So I looked up these countries that are on that list where wars have claimed to be ended, but every single one of them is still experiencing some degree of conflict and violence. So I'm asking you to hold the people in those countries in your heart so we can continue to support this effort toward world peace. And we start with Israel and Gaza, where 600 Gazans have been killed since the ceasefire of last year. And no reconstruction has taken place in a completely destroyed country, even though it has been promised by the recently formed Peace Board. And humanitarian aid licenses are being revoked, affecting 37 agencies who are even now pulling out of Gaza while the humanitarian crisis continues. In Armenia and Azerbaijan, they are working toward peace and a lasting treaty while border disputes continue. In Thailand and Cambodia, there are renewed border clashes, and this is even following their ceasefire. In Israel and Iran, a proxy war through other countries escalated to a direct war of direct attacks last year, and a ceasefire was brokered there. But today there's a lot of tension as the United States is going into peace talks with Iran and making a stand that Iran gives up its nuclear program, that Iran makes a stand that it has a right to have. So we'll see what happens there. In the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, the M23 rebel group is wreaking havoc through the countryside, terrorizing many villages, and armed conflict continues in the eastern Congo. In India and Pakistan, there is active hostility as the border remains militarized, even though there claims to have been an avoidance of a nuclear war there. Yet territorial disputes continue over places like Kashmir. In Serbia and Kosovo, Serbia is refusing to recognize Kosovo's 2008 independence, and tensions and conflicts continue there. In Egypt and Ethiopia, diplomatic talks have come to a standstill over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which Egypt says is a threat and which Ethiopia says is necessary. And so the conflicts have continued. But where is our responsibility in the whole matter? We may not be diplomats. We may not be writers of treaties. We may not go into the places of conflicts to talk people down. But we can hold them in our hearts and say, peace be with you. Because the real effect of this is that it brings peace to our hearts, that we can then feel throughout our being, calming our inner conflicts. And then we can share this peaceful understanding with others who might then awaken to the peace within them. And they share it with others who might awaken to it in them. In fact, I assert that it is highly possible that the more deeply we find peace in ourselves, the more broadly we can expand it into our world. So let's start that process now by pausing for a silent moment and holding to a special thought. Let's take a deep breath and close our eyes and focus on this idea. I open my mind, my heart, and my hands by releasing rigidity and resignation and reaching for possibility and peace. I open my mind, my heart, and my hands by releasing rigidity and resignation and reaching for possibility and peace. And so it is. The prayer for today in the Unity Lenten booklet, Release and Reimagine, is I release rigidity. Our prayer is to let peace be with each other and in our own hearts. And so it says in this article, in these politically charged days, it may be easy to slip back into rigid thinking and closed hearts. And then it says, we must be willing to release rigidity, welcome change, and even humbly admit when we have been wrong. When we come to another and connect with them in true and peaceful relationships, we can be flexible enough in our minds and our hearts and with our hands to bring peace into that relationship and therefore to spread peace in our world. So thank you for being with me today in peace. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, shanti, peace be with you.